Is the CIA's model of spying outdated? Well, according to one former officer at the intelligence agency, new technology is making traditional undercover espionage tougher. His comments come as many are asking whether the CIA is doing enough to protect agents after the New York Times reported on a cable which said dozens of informants had been killed or arrested in recent years. NBC News national security correspondent Ken Delanian is with us now for more on this. Ken, good morning. So first things first, some business. We should say that NBC News has not seen the cable in question, but tell us a little bit more about the report and what it says about this cable and why intelligence officials are said to be worried.
Good morning, Savannah. Well, this was a top secret cable to the entire CIA workforce,
Wow.
urging CIA officers to pay more attention to the security of the people they recruit to spy in other countries in the wake of a series of incidents that, as you said, led to the deaths and arrests of dozens of informants. And some of these incidents have been well publicized. For example, NBC News reported a few years ago that as many as 20 assets in China were executed after the Chinese compromised a secret CIA communication system with the help of a Chinese turncoat. But even lesser powers like Iran and Pakistan have had great success unraveling CIA spy networks, Savannah. So it's a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us what a former CIA officer told you about the current state of spying. I mean, I think a lot of people would think America is ahead of the curve here, but does he see a future for traditional undercover espionage? And do we have other options, basically?
Yeah, he does not. His name is Dwayne Norman. He was a 27-year CIA veteran. Now, I have to say, his view is a bit of an outlier, but he was working at the CIA on this problem of how to preserve spying in the digital age. And he believes that the traditional model of Americans working in embassies undercover and going out and recruiting foreigners, he says that model is dead. Take a listen to what he had to say.
The idea that you can move about in that world anonymously, or that you can conceal your activities and your associations, I think is greatly diminished. I would argue virtually impossible today. I mean, if you're talking about alias operations, I would argue that those are dead.
Just to cite one example, Savannah, if you've grown up in the age of social media and there are pictures of you in your true name all over the internet, how do you go to China and assume an alias and try to spy? It's just impossible in the old way.
Yeah. So how exactly is technology impacting the spy game, and how could it transform intelligence gathering going forward?
Just the way that we are tracked by our devices everywhere, the phones that we hold in our hands, plus the cameras that many countries have on every street corner, and the facial recognition technology that allows them to quickly compare your face with a database. That all impacts us, the stuff we have in our cars that track our movements. Take a listen again to what Norman had to say about all that.
Most people today are connected 24 hours a day. You carry a cell phone with you. You probably drive a car, unless it's an older car, you'll drive a car with telematics in it. And those are providing data on your location, on your associations, all the time, on your activities. Your financial transactions are increasingly collected and stored in the cloud and in the internet and retrievable. So your activity, your day-to-day activities and associations are constantly cataloged. And so if you're going to live a cover, right, if you're going to work undercover, you have to be able to make all of that consistent with what you are purporting to be.
Now, Savannah, I should say that the CIA and other people I've talked to are pushing back on this a little bit and saying, look, we have ways to spoof digital dust. We have ways to hack into databases to make sure that our covers are preserved. But Norman thinks they're kidding themselves, that they can't possibly stay ahead of where technology is going. When the Internet of Things come online, there are going to be so many sensors that it's impossible to keep track of to preserve this fiction, these covers where people are going out and proposing as someone else to recruit foreigners to spy, Savannah.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what he said there. It has to be consistent who you're purporting to be. Not even CIA agents are immune to that. Ken, thank you so much.
Today we begin with the devastating aftermath yet again of Hurricane Helene.
President Biden is touring the damage in the state of Florida right now before heading to Georgia in the